Okay, what we're looking at in our lesson today is our early stage 1 and stage 1 gymnastics lesson. So what I'm going to be teaching the kids today is their spatial awareness around an object. Okay, so they're not going to have any boundaries or anything. It's going to be around one object, so a mat that I've placed on the floor. I'm going to be asking them to go behind, in front, near, around, and all those kind of things in relation to the mat. Okay, so the first thing they need to do is their warm-up. Now, there's not going to be too much movement in this lesson so much as it is about their spatial awareness in their elements. So for their warm-up, I'd be getting them to, we'd take them outside and do this lesson, not inside, so there is that little bit more room. I'd get them to do a bit of running, a bit of jogging. I'd get them to do some hopping, some skipping and some jumping, just to get their body warmed up and their movements. Okay, so the first thing I'd get them to do is they'd be standing on, what I've got today is just a little mat. So the first thing I'd ask them to do is I need them to stand on top of that mat. Okay? Just standing, nothing else. So I want them to be in their own space and be aware of their own space. So I'd ask them to have their arms out, and I'd get them to place their own mats on the floor so that they can spin and twist and not touch anybody else. So that they've got their own space and they're aware of their own space and not invading anybody else's. Okay, so the first thing I'd want them to do is to become aware of what in front means, what to the right, to the left, behind means. Okay, so the first thing I get them to do is I just want them to be in front of their mats. So that's as simple as I want them to walk around their mat and become in front. Then I want them to go back behind their mats. And we'd just practice this over and over. We'd go to the right to make sure they know they're right. We'd make them go to their left. While they were doing this, I would be observing all of their movements to make sure they have got their front and behind and their right and their left organised, and pretty much off the top of their heads they know what direction that is. Another thing I do to advance them on is I get them to stand in front of their mat but face backwards. So they have to pick up the grasp that I need them in front of their mat and facing the back, which is pretty simple. Another thing that I teach them in their spatial awareness is what sideways means. So I'd get them to turn sideways, I'd get them to turn forward, I'd get them to turn backwards, I'd get them to turn to the left. So this is early stage 1 and stage 1, where they might not get that. To do this, we play a little game. So we could play Simon Says with this game. So I'd be Simon. Teacher would be Simon. Simon says stand on top of your mat. Simon says stand to the left of your mat. Simon says stand to the right of your mat. So we could play it and we could have winners. So we could have winners of the game, so I could be able to identify and assess who has grasped that knowledge of their spatial awareness, what it means to be in front, behind, to the right, to the left, what forwards and backwards and sideways always means. So we play games with this to get this in their mind of what those concepts are, so that they're on the top of their heads. When I say face backwards, they can instantly turn backwards. When I say face frontwards, they can face forwards straight up to the top of their head. If I need to get them to go to the front of the room, I would ask them to go to the front of the room. Again, that can be done with a Simon Says type of game. Early stage 1, they learn by being engaged, so they need to play those games. So Simon Says with the front of the room, the back of the room, the right of the room, the left. Also done with an object of the mat. I could get them to do this with a passing game as well. We could be passing beanbags or balls or anything around for them to also become aware of this. This type of lesson does not really need a warm down as such. It's not too involved and engaging, except for when we do play the games of Simon Says, and I can be getting them from running side to side, back and front of the room. Just to have a little warm down, we might just have another little slow jog or a quick walking race as such, just to get them cooled down and back to a resting state for the rest of the day.